before founding Prisync, Burke held marketing and sales roles for a number of companies. You also co-founded your first business, which was an IM app, which is super cool. And now you utilize your professional experience to continue to grow and scale Prisync. So very excited to have you. I'll pass it over to you, but don't forget to post any questions in the chat and visit the Prisync booth after the session.
The intro, Krista. So I was actually just having before you, and I just said this to her. So like I have days, like a bit of time in the UK, and I 5 or 6 like physical events, like networking events, e-commerce events, country so far. I know people are mostly nowadays saying the opposite, like after years of online events, physical events, days of physical in-person events. I kind of miss online events. So it's nice.
Totally.
Like now taking a break from physical events in a hotel lobby in Manchester. You're absolutely right. The company is in Istanbul, the team in Turkey, but fortunately, we have the privilege of serving companies outside countries. And so,
Awesome.
let me quickly share my screen. And
yeah, take it away.
Information will help. So do you see my screen, Krista?
Yes, you're all set.
Today, basically, I will talk about, as the subject line here implies, so avoid, how you could just simply avoid being priced out with dynamic pricing. And again, as Kirsta rightfully mentioned, so I'm the CEO and co-founder of Prisync. We essentially do content checking, and on top of this data that we generate price tracking, we help merchants. I would say Amazon creates dynamic pricing. So, I mean, this number needs an update. I mean, we currently serve 800 clients across more than 60 countries. So, like, thankfully, we added, new flag to our customer base. And at the end of the day, the idea is really to help we serve to efficient data-driven pricing decisions, so that they don't really outsmarted by the competition, they lose any, leave money on the table and so on. So today, as the whole event actually tries to do, we would like to do our way of like Cyber Monday recap, kind of quickly share how the market went, in terms of price. So which major categories, which major retailers did what and all that in a really quick way. Another that our marketing team has been like generating insights, reading reports and all that to really figure out how consumers behave like throughout today's like this Cyber Week. And after that, I will simply walk you through a brief snapshot of our own dog food, because we like currently collect millions of price points on it. Cyber Week was not an exception. To continue to collect data. We obviously eventually detected some patterns, detected some obvious understandable patterns in the market. And after that, obviously, to give some actionable insights that might coming Cyber Week, but also actually throughout the rest of the year, really. So I mean, people mostly think about pricing throughout Cyber Week, but we are a business and we do pricing technology. So I mean, you can imagine that price discounts are also relevant outside the side. This is basically the agenda. Walk you through. And starting with the Black Friday, Cyber Monday trends, I mean, I think that is also this, right? So and more like offline retail shopping is all getting share, basically recovering its share. When you look at it in a shorter time frame, it seems like brick and mortar is actually starting to get more, let's say, percent of total retail and stuff. But it's really as brief. After this one will show, it's kind of recovering actually share overall in the retail. And obviously, we would also expect that inflation has and had a global effect on e-commerce. And this is interesting because it's both the positive, that it had some negative impacts on it. Like it also contributed positively in some way. I explain. And also, online shoppers are, I think this is also a COVID thing. I mean, people are loyal to the brands that they shop from, and they are actually quite, I would say, like brand agnostic or however you call it. I mean, they are totally okay to switch brands, switch, different, I don't know, retailers and so on. So this is actually a major changing habit. And needless to say, I mean, ad costs are also influenced by, inflation. So there's a super high demand, super high competition in them. So yeah, I mean, acquiring customers is getting so more and more expensive. So this part kind of tries to show you the shift and mortar in real quick charts. But like I said, I mean, it's recovery for brick and mortar. So if you only look at, for example, the period between two and the future, it's something like how to say growing, but eventually it's based exit pre-COVID, I would say share, but still like it's I think a healthy for retail altogether, because I think there's this nice let's say multi-channel balance already settled in the market. So I mean, as actually e-commerce technology companies, I mean, serving like retail, online retail, I still would love to see brick and mortar live, because that's at the end of the day also a part of the ecosystem. So anyways, a brick and mortar is gaining share, regaining its share. And again, another was inflation's impact on consumers. So here, I mean, people are, as you see, like spending less compared to the last year. But what I know that's not maybe super apparent in this chart is that also second degree network. When I talked to of them were saying actually signaling something major to me, and it was that buying more because of the inflation, because basically like spending your cash today makes more sense than spending the same cash at a lower value 6 months. I think the bump that we have all seen in Shopify's numbers, all different GMVs, etc., can be kind of explained with that data. So even though, I mean, our discretionary like the income, like the money that we typically spare for fun, entertainment, purchases kind of declined, but at the same time on a needs basis and so on, I think we did we would probably need today, but we basically kind of maybe both made holiday shopping future purchases. So that's kind of interesting, and I think that's super relevant for like, I mean, regardless of their vertical, regardless of their category. And also, I mean, one interesting thing that we see is that, I mean, shoppers are not really waiting season really to spending. Black Friday, Cyber Monday is obviously squeezed into like a week, as we all call it, Cyber Week and all that. But I think this is an ongoing trend. So not just for this year, but merchants start spending their like before even October or maybe before November, I would say. So this brings us to the part that I mentioned in the opening. So I mean, people start thinking about discounting, pricing optimization, whatever you name it, as a calendar agnostic thing, I would say. So I mean, you should have prices for 365 days of the year, not just for 1 week. So I think this is actually also pretty relevant with what this data, what the market really shows. So people are starting to shop earlier, and people shop like throughout the year. So why would you just only think about discounts, pricing optimization only during this week? I mean, why do you think broader, and why don't you really like apply smarter, interesting discounts, interesting campaigns throughout the whole year? That's one thing that I would like to say. And coming and moving forward to also what we also detected in the market is also like always interesting. So just to give you an idea, I mean, we as our engine track more than 10 million product prices on a daily basis multiple times, and we collect data from 500,000 unique websites. This is across the world, not just the US, but Europe, US, Asia Pacific, and all that. And we record a huge number of price changes, and also our dynamic pricing engine makes about like 600,000 price change for all those 800 merchants that we serve. So it's actually a big price. And for today's presentation, what we just to show you, I mean, this is the part that I would like to like emphasize, regardless of the vertical that I'm talking about. I always think that all the lining, I mean, decreasing through Cyber Monday week, like Cyber Week, but that's not necessary. I mean, we also detect pricing certain merchants even throughout in some price decrease. So, for example, for sporting goods, I mean, this is going to be the case across the board, across different categories. I mean, not all products changing prices first of all, so don't ever expect or think that a discount or something. But retailers' preference is mostly that they offer discounts, sometimes attractive, sometimes discounts on products already having a huge demand, having a huge competitive. Let's for the rest of the bunch, they don't just touch the prices, or even for some of them, they go after incremental, driven by the additional traffic that they generated from those, for example, decreased. All I'm saying here, I mean, not always making discounts throughout Cyber Week, but some of them are just keeping the prices same or even in the prices. So here we basically collected, for a few categories in the most popular Google Shopping items. So we went through best selling items in the US, certain categories, and we basically, for example, collect almost 350 from so many websites on Google and listed down these major. So this historical index chart is actually telling the overall pricing competitiveness of these retailers that we, for example, this blue chart here is, for example, eBay. So what this chart tells us is that eBay most competitively priced, I mean, retailer with the best prices in sporting goods category throughout the Cyber Week. You can also, and I can always send this like data, this screenshots, etc., to anyone interested in the chat box. I don't know if it's ever. This data can be always shared by us with interested. I will share my email address at the end of the presentation. So feel free to reach out to get the raw data. Today I'm emphasizing certain bits of it. So I'm not just going to say that, you know, Amazon's index value was 96 and so on, but just to give you an idea. And again, kind of adding a bit of pop culture into it, we detected, for example, these discounts to be very attractive to the shoppers in Google Shopping. For example, this like perfect matte product from perfect practice, for example, have seen a major 40% discount on Walmart. And these football shoulder pads, for example, by the way, very best-selling items. So when you, for example, think of best-selling items, merchants hesitate towards making big discounts. So in the market, there were definitely some products that have seen discounts 80% or so on. But I mean, having a discount of 40% on this product is a thing. So that's what I'm trying to say. So if you guys are, for example, interested in these products, that's basically what I wanted to demonstrate. So in the health and beauty category, the story is kind of similar, but I would say a little, I think decreased focused. So for example, more product percentage have seen discounts on health and beauty category. So for example, here we have Target with their discounts. I mean, maybe, but yeah, like Target was the actually retailer as the most competitive. Well, we detected this 60% discount on freshdirect.com, for example. Again, this is a very best-selling item. And this smoothie mix, like Bloom Nutrition smoothie mix, have also seen 30% on like main website of the retailer. Coming to animals and pet supplies, most product prices, for example, interestingly stayed the same. I don't know, animal and pet supplies retailers pricing dynamism or lack of like Friday, Cyber Monday, but spot. And here, for example, this blue line, if you trace, doing even better than PetSmart, doing even better. So it was interesting to see. For example, on Petco, regardless of the overall pricing performance, we have almost a 50% discount, or this cat treatment at 20%. Coming to the electronics side, here we also detected certain price, for example, and get the data here really well. Follow eBay. So as you see over here, I mean, okay, but Best Buy made the most, discounts and so on. So they kind of, but after that they also increased. So this also shows us that compared to the common, merchants are also changing their prices throughout the cyber week. So it's not just something like spray and set the prices, watch the market, tools by tools like us are and then they continue to offer maybe new discounts, change their towards price increases and so forth. So a key takeaway here is that those big merchants do never forget to keep prices to the cyber, just spray and pray just before the holiday season. And again, Xbox, like this controller has seen a 25% discount on eBay, which is again very rare. And Ring has seen, for example, this for less than 15% on this website. Don't really see this much of discount all the time, so that's why we are sharing. As we probably already know, this is actually a global thing. 87% of American shoppers as very or extremely influential in determining where they shop. Again, this brings us to this loyalty. So I think people are becoming less and less loyal to the existing let's say preferences and so on. So it really makes sense to try to be or more than the rest of the bunch during Black Monday. So this is a quick stat to kind of warm up to the next step. So Amazon changes, for example, prices 2.5 million times a day. So their prices are very dynamic. And the good news is that we kind of pack that technology for mostly small and medium-sized businesses. So actually, any interested merchant can also start gaining that capability. And the way they do it is by using dynamic pricing. So it's kind of an algorithmic way of resetting your prices continuously depending on several factors like your inventory level, competitor prices, your changes, goals or strategies, etc. So it's not praying and praying. It's not just basically setting list prices, but continuing it. So in our context, for example, we just let track their competitors collect their prices, and then set rules prices. So this basically helps better understanding your customers' preferences. I mean, when they really just all move here, when they convert, when they and it's also important in the markets where we see supply chain crisis or so on, because you can also track stock availabilities of your competition and reprice against those sales. So stock availabilities are also very linked to it. So we, like I said, serve about 800-ish customers at the moment. And the thing is that this is also common with some listeners here. So people typically do this in a manual way before meeting us. For example, these guys from Indonesia were simply doing this with 16 people in the team so they were just tracking their cost to one by one. They were copying points into an Excel file, pricing in a manual way via Excel formulas. So they had really in the task, but after those people have into more strategic roles in the company. No, they were not fired, they were not laid off, but they moved towards more strategic roles. I know. So now they were able to handle the case, basically, which is the most important part. Handle the case where they are maybe cheaper than the competition. So, for example, imagine that you are setting at $7, where the next cheapest competitor is actually. We basically help merchants to increase that $7 to 9.9, if not 9. So actually not leaving money on the table is, I think, super relevant in today's recessionary environment. So we also help them in the very same way. So for the next holiday season, two things I would like to recommend is basically using strategy and inventory-based pricing. And in loss leadership, what we recommend our retailers is actually select a very fast-moving, very high-demand product to actually accommodate a certain amount of loss making for them and drive extra traffic to your store. You would experiment in converting those incremental traffic on some other profit margin products to eventually have potential profits. And in the inventory-based part, like I said, this is actually getting rid of that stock. So if you tie your inventory levels with your pricing, you will also be able to, make more discounts if you have too much stock in your place, and actually less if you are kind of almost going out of stock. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is that pricing is super relevant, and in an inflationary environment, it's becoming more and more important. So you should really think twice if you are not prices on your web shop today. So I would encourage you to think like towards a more dynamic pricing mentality. So thanks a lot for listening. So again, this is my email address here, this is my Twitter here, and this is our website. Feel free to connect with me or the company. We would love to tell more. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. That was great. I think we have time for maybe one questions, but there
Sure.
are a few. So anyone else that has any questions after this one we go over, just join the booth for Prisync right after this, and they'll be able to answer questions there. But we
Sure.
have one that someone else asked as well, coming from Amelia. Is it right to constantly change prices periodically? Won't buyers be negatively affected?
No, I think Amazon is doing that. So we are at, so it's not like optimization side of pricing is actually a big debate, and this is not what we are kind of proposing, but we are actually defending the changes of prices in the scope of time. So same person will be seeing different prices like times
Yeah,
in the calendar, but we are not really offering to show different price points to two different persons at the given time. So I think different things, and with the airlines, with accommodations, hotels, and everything, we already got used to that. So I mean, we will definitely adapt to that. Amazon is actually already doing that, so why won't a small business also try the same if it actually makes sense commercially?
totally. All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us.